Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and this is my Snohomish County real estate market update for October 2025. Well, happy fall, Snohomish County. Excited to talk a little bit about what's been going on in the housing market here over the past month. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We'd love to have you follow along. Every single week, we talk about the housing market in King and Snohomish County. And something that we've been talking about, we are seeing come true, and that is that we're seeing this last final push of housing coming onto the market before we hit the winter months. And if you've been following for any length of time in this, I think I've been making these videos for, 8, 9 years now. I think something like that. We see a similar pattern every single year. And that is that September is that last month of the year where a lot of housing comes on the market. It feels almost like a summer month and sometimes a revival of August. Sometimes August is a little bit slower. Usually October, November, December, not as many houses coming on the market. And so I want to jump down to the amount of houses on the market. The inventory is what we call it. We have 2.4 months of inventory in Snohomish County at the end of September. Last month we had 2.5 months, so a slight drop in the inventory. But the big story here is we're in a more balanced market. When you start to get towards 3 months, you have a little bit of wiggle room in pricing and terms and contingencies and contracts. Sellers and buyers each have a little bit of an equal chance to negotiate in a purchase contract. That's not the case when those numbers are smaller. And what's going to happen here over the next few months is those numbers are going to get much smaller as few houses come on the market at the end of the fall. October, there will be a decent amount of houses come on the market, but November and December are really, really slow months in this area. And so as a buyer, this is the most amount of options you're going to have for the rest of the year. It's that last chance to pick and choose from options that are available versus choosing from, well, whatever's left, essentially. And so the days on market, 32, a little bit higher than last year and slightly up from last month. Again, the days on market here are from houses that have been on the market since August and since July. And so there's houses that have been sitting and taking a little bit of time to sell. Those houses are starting to sell. We're going to start to see that days on market number eventually going in the other direction as the listings that have been sitting start to sell a little bit here in the next few weeks. Now, the last number here, before we talk about price, we're going to talk about the asking price percentage. Houses are selling about 99.2% of the asking price. Last month, 99% of the asking price, so slightly up month over month in that number. We've been seeing more multiple offer scenarios. We've been seeing more escalation clauses included in the offers. And what that's telling me is that there's just a little bit of an uptick in the buyer activity and the competition in the market. Now, pricing wise, we're seeing in Snohomish County a year over year decline, 2.6%. King County was positive, a little over 2%. King County, though, $750 median sales price. Last year, the median sales price in September was $770,000. The average sales price in Snohomish County was also slightly down, $854,000, down 1% from last year at $862,000. And so that number is showing us that we're seeing a little bit of a flat line, in my opinion. I don't think 1% or 2% makes a huge difference on a year over year basis, but we didn't see any big growth either. There were parts of the year where homes were selling above the number from the year before. Now we're seeing the homes selling just below. And I think on average, the number is positive. So on average for the whole year, we're seeing that the price is above the previous year. So on average, just about 1%, 0.9% for the whole year and 2.7% over on the average for the whole year. But again, this month, slightly down year over year in Snohomish County. And I think what we're going to see here as we wrap up the rest of the year is a decrease in the inventory, so just less options to choose from. I think we're going to see if the mortgage rates keep coming down too, more buyer activity here in Snohomish County. And that means that as we head into the spring housing market here in 2026, that the market will be a little bit more competitive than it is right now. So buyers, and I talk about this a lot during the fall, buyers, this is a chance to buy a house without as much competition, maybe negotiate the price or the terms. And I say this a lot for sellers too. This time of year is still a good time to sell if you need to get your house sold. It's going to sell, and it will probably sell quicker now as we're heading towards the lower inventory months. But it's also a great time if you're thinking about selling earlier in the year. Maybe you want to wait out the holidays. It's a great time to start prepping and having conversations around getting your house sold. Thanks so much for tuning into this month's Snohomish County Real Estate Market Update. And if you made it to the end here, I know there was some value for you, so please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. And if there's any way I can bring value to you here buying or selling a house in Snohomish County, or heck, maybe just have some questions for me, I'd love to be a resource.